Hey YouTube, this Jersey. I'm back again with another story. Check out my stories on the Dante Show Network. Like the video, leave me a comment, and then go subscribe to my channel, Forensic 8888. And I'm going to release videos over there real soon on my channel. So also check out BG Dino's channel. He has some good stories and movie reviews. Also, I am getting over a cold, but these videos not gonna push themselves out. So, I gotta do what I gotta do. Anyway, y'all enjoy the story. Hey, look, listeners' discretion is advised. So I gave you a warning. This is the story about when I slept with my sister's boyfriend. Okay, so my mother had two girls and three boys. It was me, Knowledge, Phil, Lisa, and Byron. So Phil went off to college and he was living on campus, and Byron went down south to go live with his dad. So it was me, Lisa, and Knowledge that stayed at home with my mom. My mom, she was a great mom. She always worked, kept a clean house, a full fridge. She loved to cook and kept the bills paid. She loved all of us, but she would baby me a little more than she did my siblings. So as a kid, I used to catch on real fast. I was reading before I hit preschool. I excelled in school, but I was just really, really quiet. Also, I really love my brother Byron. And when he went down south, like my family said I was just depressed because Byron used to treat me like a princess, buy me things and give me money, and he flaunted me around town. Like I just wanted to do everything with him. So as time went on, I made a little bit of progression. I still didn't talk a lot, but one day I just told myself I'm about to go get some snacks. So I let my mom know that I was going to the corner store, and I had my own money, but she was so happy that I wanted to get out of the house. She gave me some more money. So at this age, I had a weekly allowance as long as I do certain chores. Okay, so I started walking to the store more often, and when I got there, this guy named Tim would say little stuff to me, but I didn't say more than a few words to him. Tim lived in our neighborhood. Everyone knew him and his family, and he used to help his Uncle Jimmy out at the car shop sometimes. He was real cool, laid back, nice clothes, stayed with money. Everybody liked him. So from what I was told, he was a dope boy and one of the top earners on the block. So at first, his family didn't know what he was doing, but when Tim really started dressing up and always staying with new stuff, his family knew like that money didn't come from his uncle's shop. I was also told that Tim used to have some of his runners help women carry groceries in the house, and he would buy ice cream for the kids when the ice cream truck came. He was just the all around drug dealing gentleman type of guy. But I heard about this stuff later on in life. Anyway, when I used to go to the corner store, Tim was saying little stuff to me, and I knew his lips were moving, but I really didn't care what came out of his mouth. I was just kind of awkward. One day, Tim said, "Hey, little Byron, what's up with you? You don't hear me calling you? You don't hear me talking to you?" When he called me little Byron, that it just made me pay more attention to him. Then next thing you know, he started calling me little Byron all the time. Like Tim would smile at me and give me a compliment saying how good I looked, how he liked my clothes, or how he liked my hair. I remember saying thank you, but like I said, I wasn't sure what to say. I didn't talk a lot. I didn't talk a lot to certain people, I should say. Then when I would leave out the store, he would tell me what was in my grocery bag without even looking. One time I looked in my bag and looked back at him, and I was like, "You nosy." But he always was right. I never knew how he knew that because sometimes I didn't get the same thing, and it was in a black bag. So this went on for a little while. And at this time of my life, I wasn't really into boys like that. Like, I think I liked them, but I didn't care too much about them. Guys used to say, "Man, you real pretty. I like you. You got a big old butt. Damn, you fine. Yo, you look just like your sister Lisa." But I don't really remember being interested. So now with Tim, it was different because Tim, like, he just started doing the most to get my attention and for me to recognize him. So I became curious and I developed a huge crush on him. See, I was used to being called pretty, but when Tim called me pretty, it just seemed different. Like the way he said it didn't sound like the same way other people would say it, or maybe it was just in my mind. But he was different from the boys at my school. Next thing you know, Tim started giving me money to buy my stuff. And this made me really start to like him even more because I love money. Like Byron used to give me money all the time. My siblings used to give me money. And I had an allowance. And now Tim giving me money. So my little piggy bank stayed full. Tim would like point out things about me that I didn't think nobody paid attention to. He made me feel like a little schoolgirl, with the little butterflies or whatever. And I used to think about him a lot. Then I would write his name all in my diary. The page would be filled with little hearts and our name in it with the arrow going through it. So one day I got dressed up real cute, put on my charm bracelet, lotioned up with my skin so soft, put some oil sheen in my hair, and grabbed my money from off the dresser. So, because I wanted to go to the store. I already knew I would either see him walking around the neighborhood or by the store because that's where he was hustling at. So I walked all the way up the street. Then I made a left to go to the store. And as soon as I turned the corner, I saw Tim with his Uncle Jim and some of the old men that be at the shop. They were on the corner laughing. So he saw me walk up and we locked eyes. So I slowed down a little bit because he would always give me a compliment. And I was waiting on him. I was waiting on my compliment like he normally did. So, but he just gave me a quick ass head nod. Like, what's up? No smile, no nothing. Then he looked down and started messing with his radio. Eventually, I went in the store and I grabbed my snacks and paid for everything. The owner of the store was a Puerto Rican dude. And of course, everyone called him Poppy. So Poppy was older, laid back, like no nonsense type of guy. But when I went into the store, Poppy was like, hey, mommy, that guy out there, he coming here, he asked about you. Then Poppy said, he's no good. He's no good. I know him. He's no good. And I'm like, damn. But I can't remember everything else he said. But that conversation stood out to me because I never heard Poppy talk like that, especially to us younger ones, our younger people. He don't really say much to us. But anyway, I think I may have told Poppy okay or something. And then I walked out the store and I looked to my right and I saw all the old heads still laughing, but Tim's head was still down looking at the radio. He didn't tell me how pretty I was. He didn't tell me that he liked my hair. He didn't try to guess what was in my bag, and he didn't give me no money like he usually does. So I just kept looking at him while I was walking away. And I guess maybe I was looking too hard because one of the old heads said, you'll stop being nosy before I tell knowledge on you. But Tim never looked at me and he didn't even defend me. I don't remember saying anything back to them. But I remember I walked off like it was nothing. And as soon as I hit the corner and they couldn't see me, I started running. Oh, I was so embarrassed. I ran the rest of the way home. And then when I reached my gate, my best friend Kim saw me. She said, yo, my mom, what's up? Come here. Why you running? Like, I didn't even go inside. I just walked over to Kim's house. Then I started telling her what was going on. I told Kim the whole story about how I had a crush on this guy. And he used to talk to me. Now he won't say anything to me. So she said, I didn't know you like boys. I didn't know you was into boys yet. But come on, let's go inside. So she was like, I'm going to tell you why he did that. Okay, so we went inside her house. We went upstairs to her room. And Kim told me to sit down on the bed. Then she sat down next to me and she said he did that because he's immature. Now, I heard the word immature plenty of times before, but Kim was a little older and more experienced than me. So I thought she knew everything. She said, you know how some of the boys act nice to the girls, then when they're around their friends, they would act different. So I said, yeah. She said, that's because they're immature. But when they're not immature, they're going to act the same no matter who's looking. She was like, they're afraid that their homeboys are going to say something to them. And she was like, my sister told me you have to act like you don't really care because when you act like you like them, they don't like you. But when you ignore them, they be on you, yo. So I'm like, okay. She used to teach me a lot. See, I was a virgin and I was more worried about like getting my hair done and money. I wasn't boy crazy yet, nor interested in a relationship. Like I didn't even know what the hell a relationship was. I just seen people hugged up and kissing each other. So we stayed in her room for a little while longer, then went outside. It was getting late and she had to go in the house, and so did I. See, back in the day, you had to either be on your porch, in your yard, or in your house before the street lights came on. But this was the summertime, so I went inside to eat, grabbed my diary, my pen, my gigapet, then I went and go sat back on the porch. And these kids today don't even know about gigapets, nanopets, or Tamagotchis, but y'all just Google it. Anyway, so Lisa was out there, my sister. She was standing by the gate and she had her skates on, but she had a pair of her sneakers in her hand. So she started looking down the street. And when I turned to see what she was looking at, I saw Tim walking up. Again, he locked eyes with me and he just started smiling. Then he started walking closer to our house, and I just remember I got nervous and I started playing with my hair and trying to fix myself. I guess I forgot about earlier. When Tim finally reached the gate, he looked at me, smiled, put his left hand up to wave to me, and I was just looking at him. So after he greeted me, he put his left hand back down. Then he took both of his hands and wrapped them around my sister's waist and started kissing her. I sat on that porch in shock. I did not understand what was going on. And she didn't see the expression on my face because her back was towards me, but Tim saw it. He was facing me. So after they was kissing and hugging, he looked back up at me and gave me a head nod. And when they were done, she took off her skates and she threw them in the yard. And then she put on her sneakers that she already had in her hand. She still didn't look at me. But I heard her say, "Tell mama I'm going down the street. I'll be right back." Okay, so then they left. I took my stuff upstairs to my room. Then I started scribbling all over his name in my diary. Like I threw my gigapet across the room and then I threw myself in the bed. I was so mad. So okay, so time goes by and I can't recall everything, but I started seeing them together more. And I was jealous. I was jealous. My sister and I were both pretty and we looked alike, but she was one of the women in my family who had like a nice big perky chest. See, back then a chest was like what a lot of girls wanted, and some of us used to stuff our bras with tissues and socks or whatever to make them look bigger, but she ain't had to do that. Like I had a big butt for my age, but I wanted some tatas. So but she used to give him a hug and then press her chest on his chest. Like I was so jealous, but I never said anything. Because my sister was mean as hell and I was scared of her because everybody knew that she had a bad attitude and she would fight dudes. Okay, one day I went to Kim and I said, "Do you know I caught Lisa kissing my crush?" Kim paused and she said, "You dead ass serious?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Ew, what's wrong with her? Why would she do something like that?" So I said, "I don't know." I was like, "And they're always hugging and kissing. And he's immature." So she was like, "How he immature?" I'm like, when it's just me and him, he'll give me money and he be trying to grab on my butt, which he was not trying to. But I was like, he be trying to grab on my butt. But when people were around, he would say I'm like his sister. And she was like, "Yeah, because all them boys immature. But I never thought Lisa would kiss on somebody that you like." And she was like, that happened to me. That happened to my sisters. And they were fighting over a boy. So Kim said, "But if you tell Lisa, she gonna beat you up. Everybody know Lisa mean." All right, we eventually stopped talking about it and started listening to her CD. And I need everybody to remember that I was young at this time. Like we were young people having a conversation. So a lot of this stuff I'm going to say to you is going to sound really immature because it was. Okay, so fast forward the story. He started hanging around more. I guess I was still jealous because when he would kiss or on her or they would hold hands, I would just like roll my eyes or something. And when they would ask me a question, I would act like I ain't hear them. So one time I heard my sister say, "I think she's worried about Byron again." So one day everybody was gone. My brother and my mother worked at the same job. So they would leave together and come back home together. Like they had the same schedule. And Lisa was at the mall with her friends. So I remember listening to my CD and feeding my little gigapad. Then it was when somebody rang the doorbell. So I went downstairs, went into the living room, pulled the curtain so I could see who was at the door, and it was Tim. So I opened up one door and then walked through the foyer and then went to open up the front door. And then I looked at him and I was like, Lisa ain't here. With an attitude, I don't know. I was just extra. So he was like, duh, I know you here by yourself, yo. Like, Lisa already called me. She at the mall with her friends. She had paged me. You know, I called her back on the payphone. And she said she about to catch the bus home real soon. And then he was like, and she said I could wait here for her. So, okay, I felt like he was telling the truth because my sister did go to the mall with her friends. And she would have to catch the bus back home. Plus, Lisa was always paging people and she taught me how to do it. So, I know y'all kids are like, what the F is a pager? What's a beeper? What's a payphone? Is it a link to it? Why she ain't hit him up on Instagram? So, you know, I just need y'all to Google that. Anyway, I finally let him in and I walked back into the house. He closed the front door and locked it. And then he closed the door, like the foyer door. So he was like, what you doing? And I think I said something real childish, like minding my business and leaving yours alone. It was something like, I think that's what I said. So I didn't get a reaction out of him. Tim just sat down on the living room couch. And he said, yo, I got something for you. I said, okay. But I still turned around to go up the steps. So he got off the couch and walked over to me. So I stepped up a few stairs and then I turned around and I was like, what? Tim grabbed me by my waist and said, yo, I got something for you. So I said, Tim, you are immature. And Tim looked at me and he said, who told you I was immature? Why are you saying that? I said, because when people around, you act like you don't like me. But when nobody around, you act like you like me. So Tim just blinked at me a couple times. And he was just staring. He was like, and then he laughed at me. He said, that's what you call immature? So then he said, look, don't even answer that. I got something for you. Then he let me go. He dug in his left pocket and pulled out my gifts. So I seen what they were, but I was like, what is it? He said, well, I know you F with DMX and your old CD got scratched up. So I got you a new one. Then he started digging in like this little black grocery bag he had. And he was like, he was like, I got your favorite chips, gum, and sunflower seeds. And then he said, and he was dragging out that word, and he pulled out a really pretty jewelry box. Then he opened it. He was like, I also brought you some more charms for your bracelet. And I was just standing on the steps looking at the stuff. So I smiled, you know, I got excited and I was like, thank you. And I said, I wanted these charms. I seen these when I was at the mall with mama, but she didn't get it for me because she just bought me some more sneakers. So Tim said, yeah, I know, I seen you. You was looking at the charms, but you ain't see me. Then he started kissing on me and trying to grind on me while we were on the steps. Like, although I had a crush on him, something ain't feel right. Like, the shit was foul. So I pushed him off and told him that I need to get back in my room and I need to clean up and do some stuff before my mom get home. So he was like, all right. So I went up the steps, went in my room and closed my door. When I got to my room, my CD was still playing or whatever. But I heard him knocking on the door. So I ain't answer. And then the knocking stopped. And then, like I said, a minute or two later, he started knocking again. So I turned on my radio. And I was like, who is it? I already knew who it was. But then Tim said, I got something for you. Like, he dragged that word out. I'm like, okay. Then he opened my door. My door was not locked. He had the DMX CD, the jewelry box with the charms in it, and my snacks. And I guess that I didn't realize that when he kissed me on the steps, I left everything. So he said, he was like, take it. And I was like, no. So Tim said, well, I'm going to leave it on the dresser. Lisa don't wear charms. I already got DMX. And you know Poppy not going to give me my money back for this food. So he walked over to the dresser and put my gifts on it. And I saw the charms, but I ain't see that jewelry box. So Tim stopped and he looked around my room and he was like, I like your posters. Then he walked over to me, took me by the hand and led me to my bed. I was really nervous, but I ain't say anything. I just let him lay me down, and then he got on top of me. So Tim was kissing on me, and it was awkward because he kept trying to stick his tongue in my mouth, and I didn't know how to kiss at this time. So he was like, I know you probably used to kissing your pillow, but I'm going to show you how to do it for real. It was disgusting to me at the time, so I just kept pulling my head back. And eventually he stopped trying to put his tongue in my mouth. But he started touching on my body and rubbing on my chest. I was uncomfortable because they were small and I didn't think they looked good like Lisa's. And he must have sensed it because he was like, he squeezed my nipples and he was like, yo, I like these too. Then he pulled down my pants and started caressing me down there. So at first it was okay. Then it hurt a little when he tried to open me up with his fingers. So y'all know, due to YouTube policies, I got to cover up some of these words, but just use your imagination. So while he was working on me with his right hand, he took his left hand and quickly undid his belt and, his zipper. Then he pulled his pants down. So when I heard his belt buckle and his zipper, I jumped up. I was still a virgin, but I knew what was in them pants. And then Tim pulled his hand away from me and was like, yo, what's wrong? And I told him that I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he was like, why not? And I shook my head again. I was like, I just don't want to do this. So Tim stood up and he was standing over me while I'm on the bed. Tim took his left hand and he held his thing in his hand, was like, yo, don't be scared. I'm not going to put this in you. It didn't look as big as the ones Lisa showed me in the magazines, but I was still scared of it. I didn't know what to do. It was just awkward. So Tim said, just lay back down, open up your legs, and I'm going to kiss on you. I promise I won't do nothing else to you. And I still didn't lay back down. I remember still sitting up Indian style and trying to cover up my chest with my pillow. So it seemed like he was getting frustrated or whatever, but then he kind of calmed down a little bit and was like, I really like you. But when I used to say things to you, you barely spoke to me. So I didn't think you liked me the way I liked you. That's why I got with your sister. Because when I said something to her, she would speak to me. And he was like, I ain't mean to hurt your feelings when I kissed Lisa, but I thought you ain't like me. You real quiet. I ain't know what to think. And while he was telling me this, he was stroking himself with his left hand and moaning at the same time. Tim was freaked out. Tim was real freaky. So I saw stuff like this on an adult magazine, and Kim showed me her mama porno tape before, but I ain't never see it in person, so I just kept staring. After he said how he felt about me, he told me to lay back down, open up my legs, and he promised he wasn't gonna hurt me. I still didn't lay back down, so he started pushing me down, and then I stopped resisting. I remember laying down and still holding a pillow on my chest, and Tim opened up my legs, and I felt his tongue all on my vagina. And he just kept licking and moaning. And this was something I never felt before. So I just started screaming. I wasn't sure if them screams were sexy or not, but I was just screaming, holding his head. And I guess this excited him because his shoulders just started popping real fast. He was helping himself and them shoulders was popping real fast back and forth. Okay, so he continued to stroke himself. And he was moaning real loud, and I was still screaming, grabbing his head. Then he moved his head away from me and stroking himself. And next thing you know, he finished in his hand. After he caught his breath, he hurried up and put back on his clothes. So I sat up on the bed and just stared at him. While he was getting dressed, he told me to put on my clothes and said, don't tell nobody about what we just did. He was like, your sister crazy. And if you say something to her, she's going to fight. So Tim left out of my room, went to the bathroom. Then when he was done in the bathroom, he went downstairs and I heard him leave out the house. I was still sitting on the bed with no clothes on. I don't know if I was trying to process what was going on. I don't even remember how much time went past, but I didn't move until I realized I had to pee. So I put my clothes on, then went to the bathroom. After that, I went back into my room and I just sat on the floor. I felt guilty. And plus, the way he hurried up and left made me feel stupid. So I heard my sister come in the house and my mom and my brother. I don't know how they all ended up coming in at the same time, but they did. So my mom called me downstairs and she told me to she got me something to eat because she forgot to tell me to take the meat out the freezer to thaw out. So we were in the kitchen while she was talking about the food. She didn't look at me. She was just settling down. Then after that, she put her bags down on the kitchen counter. She was still talking and she turned to look at me. So my mom stopped in mid-sentence and said, "You okay? What's wrong with you?" She said, "You don't look good. You getting sick." I believe it was just her mother's instinct because I had no idea what she was talking about. But when she said it, it made me feel even worse. Oh my goodness, it made me feel so guilty. And like, then she said, "What did you do all day? Who was here when I was gone?" All of a sudden, like, I just felt weak. And I just knew she could see it on me. Like, I knew she, like, in my mind, I felt like she knew everything. So I was stumbling with my words. So I was like, "Mama, I was listening to my CD." Well, my CD was playing. And I was going to feed my gigapet. Well, it was almost time to feed my gigapet. Like, I was just stumbling over my words. And then my sister came back in the kitchen with Tim. And they were laughing and having a conversation. So I got quiet. And the sound of them laughing, like, it kind of, it took the pressure off of me. The attention off of me. And I just thought everything was okay because everybody was laughing. Nobody was yelling at me. So Tim stopped talking to Lisa and he said, "Hey, mama." So he hugged her, gave her a kiss on the cheek, pulled out a chair for her, and then she said thank you. Tim was asking something like, "How was your day?" And she said long or something. He said, "Sorry to hear that. Glad you made it home." And it was something else, but she said thank you. Like, everybody knew Tim was a gentleman. Then he looked at me and said, "Hey, you, what's up? How was your day?" So I said, "I don't know." And my sister said, "How you don't know how your day was?" And I was like, "I don't know." So my mom told me that she was going to get fix my food in a few, like go upstairs or freshen up or whatever. So Tim, Lisa, and I, we all left out of the kitchen. Lisa walked out first. Tim was behind her, and then I was behind Tim. When we reached the living room, I heard him say to Lisa, like, "Yeah, after you paged me, I sat on the porch and I was waiting for you. You know, I got bored, went back home, played the game." I think he said he was about to go to sleep, and then he seen her. "So what's up with something?" he was saying, and I just went up the steps. And I was thinking, like, yo, he just sat up there and said that she told him to wait here. But once again, I ain't say anything. I went up the steps, washed my hands, and went in my room for something. Maybe it was my gigapet, because I always carried that thing with me. Then I just went back downstairs and waited for my food. So as time went on, Tim kept pleasuring me with his fingers in his mouth. I'm not going to lie. And his fingers didn't hurt as much as they used to. Like, I started liking it. So one day we were in a room and he said, "I do a lot for you, but sometimes I think you don't even like me. You don't even talk to me sometimes. You get quiet on me. What's up with you?" So I always heard people tell me that I was really quiet. So when he told me this, like, I believed it. Then he said, "Do you like me?" And I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Well, I like you. That's why I give you money and watch out for you." He was like, "I'm always watching out for you." So, what he said something like, "I seen you when you almost tripped down the steps last week and you was messing with that gigapet thing." He was like, "I see you ain't wear your new sneakers yet. I guess you saving them for school. And I also seen you ain't eat all your gumbo today. Like, you love gumbo." He was like, "You starting to have a little attitude lately. And I know it's because you miss me. And I see other things too." He was right. So I said, "Well, what else do you see?" Tim said, "Now look at your bracelet." So I looked down at my bracelet and I said, "What's wrong with it?" Then he said, "Where the charms I bought you?" Like, I had put those charms in my dresser and I didn't even think to put them on. So I told him, like, I still got them there in my drawer. After that, his face was sad. Like, he put on a sad face or whatever. And Tim pointed to his chest. And he was like, "I'm always paying attention to you." Then he pointed at me and said, "But you don't like me." Like, he was scolding me like a child. And then I said, "I like you." He was like, "Well, if you like me, show me." So I just gave him a hug. I didn't know what else to do. It was awkward. It was awkward as F. So he said something like, I'm going to need more than that, or you're going to have to do more than that. So Tim pulled down his pants and he pulled his thing out and said, if you really like me, I need you to touch me and kiss on me the way I be kissing on you. And like I said before, I knew what he was talking about because Kim already showed me them tapes. And I seen, people go down on each other, but I never thought about doing that to somebody. So Tim took my head and started pushing it towards his pelvis area. And I pulled my head back. So he kept doing it, grabbing my neck, getting aggressive. So when I pulled my head back, he said, no, don't do that. And then he seen the look on my face. So he took a deep breath and told me, yo, a lot of people do this. Like, that's why I did it to you, but you're not supposed to tell anybody about it. If you really like me, you're going to do this for me. I'm going to show you how. So I didn't want to do it, but I really wanted this dude to like me. I wanted him to treat me how he treated Lisa. And I wanted him to be like out in the open with me. Like I was delusional. So he told me how to do it. And that was the first time I ever gave a guy oral. Now, my jaw was hurting and I didn't know if I was doing it right. But after a while, he pulled it away from me. Like he pulled it out my mouth and held it. Then Tim got off the bed and stood over me. But I was still sitting on the bed. So he took his hand and held my face. Then he started helping himself. So one hand has his member in it. The other hand, he got around my face like this. And it's in my face. Tim was freaky as hell. And he always wanted to talk while he was stroking. So then Tim was like, yeah, you catch on real quick. And you're real special to me. So I can't get this to you. Not until you show me you like me. But he was moaning the whole time he was saying it. Moaning and stroking. Then he moaned and said, yeah, I'm about to make love to you real soon. And his shoulders started jumping back and forth real fast, Now, mind you, the whole time, he's still holding me. Like he had a damn death grip on my face. And his grip tightened up. So he looked down at me and he was like, open up. Like telling me to open up my mouth. So I did it. And it hit some of my mouth. And I thought it was just so disgusting. So I started spitting and trying to pull my face back. But he gripped my face and was like pulling me forward. So I just stopped resisting. And then I closed my eyes or whatever. And even though my eyes were closed, like I knew he wasn't finished. Because I still felt it on my face. So normally he would be happy afterwards. But this time when he finished up, he was mad. Like I could see it all on his face. We already had tissues in the room because we knew we were going to need it afterwards. So Tim took the tissue and he like shoved it towards me. He was like, yo, wipe your face. And once again, I ain't saying anything. I was just wiping my face, but kind of worried about him because this is the side of Tim that people didn't see. He started fixing his clothes. Like Tim didn't yell at me, but he had a serious look on his face. And he was like, yo, don't do that again. And he didn't say it, but I knew what he was talking about. Then he gathered our tissues, went to the bathroom. Then he left the house. So after this happened, I started to change. At first I felt guilty because of the sex. Like I knew it wasn't right, but for some reason I wanted more of his attention. Like you couldn't tell me nothing. I had an attitude with people. I thought I knew everything. I started speaking up a little more. Tim and the D had me feeling real brave. So even though I didn't really get it yet, but to be honest, I was hooked on him and I wanted him to be my man. So I remember putting on some little shorts and rolling them up so they could look like Daisy Dukes. Then I took one of my shirts and I tied it so it could look like a halter top. Then I stuffed my bra with some tissues. It was either tissue or sock. So I lotioned up and put some baby powder on my chest or whatever. We used to do that when we was younger. Put some baby powder on my chest and sprayed my hair with the oil sheen. And y'all, I was about to go to the store because I was trying to give Tim something to look at. Stick around for part 2.